Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting issue of the Beautiful Book Geeks. Today we have a slightly different, incredibly amazing lineup for you. We've got my co-hosts this week are Isa and Julia, and I said this week, and it's actually this month. But this month's guest is the so brilliant, and I love her work so much, A.F. Stewart. Say hi.
Hi.
Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am A.F. Stewart, also known as Anita Stewart, and I write horror stories and fantasy books that walk on the dark side, and I write a lot of poetry.
Or, swim in the dark side, as the case may be.
Yes, they swim in the dark side. They fly occasionally in the dark side.
And then you guys have met my other two hosts fairly recently, actually. Julia Allen, she writes under J.K. Allen. Julia, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hello. Yeah, I write under J.K. Allen, and I mainly write young adult urban fantasy, though I do dabble in other genres like horror and dystopian sometimes. I also really love poetry. I actually did my senior thesis at my university on poetry, and I have just been focusing a little more on fiction as of late.
Awesome.
Julia, you also have a book coming out.
I do. Yeah, so I have the Angelborn series is finishing up this year. So Angelborn was the first book, and that came out in September. And the second book is called Heavenfire, and that comes out April 18th. So Angelborn is about Ginny Gracehurst, who's a 16-year-old who thinks she's just a normal teen until she gets a bruise that won't fade and starts having strange dreams. And it turns out she is half angel, and there's a powerful half demon hell-bent on bending her to his will. So she's got to navigate a new secret world and keep her loved ones safe and prevent him from having his plans come to fruition.
And all that while having to deal with being a normal teenager.
Yes.
All right, and of course, I'm sure you have already recognized her voice, the sultry tones of Isa McLaren. Isa, want to say hi?
Hi, am I using my podcast voice again?
Ah.
Hi, I'm Isa McLaren, crime fiction author. I try to stay away from horror. I don't like to be scared in my entertainment. I also have a book coming out. I've got the first short story in a series called From Love to Hatred Turned, releases March 15th. And then my first full novel, A Kiss for Luck, debuts May 4th.
Right,
Yeah,
and,
tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, right. That would probably be a good idea. The short stories and the novel are all about a con artist named Jules Brand. And in From Love to Hatred Turned, he helps a woman get out of an abusive relationship, not by any of the usual methods. He uses his skills as a thief and a con artist and a forger to help deal with that problem.
I absolutely love the quote graphic you already have floating around for that one, too.
I
saw that, and I burst out laughing. So obviously no one can see it, but you might see it on social media later. But it says, oh, hell, what's the line, Isa?
Just so
I'm
we're
not
clear,
a
darling, I'm not a marriage
lawyer, and just so we're clear, I'm not a hitman.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then in A Kiss for Luck, a young woman goes on her dream vacation to Italy, kisses a stranger on a bridge, turns out he's a con artist, and she gets pulled into his schemes and ends up on a wild escapade.
We definitely do like wild escapades.
Yes.
Really fighting.
So, Anita, you have a couple of books, The Ghosts of the Sea Moon, and then the second one is, I want to make sure I get the title right, Souls of the Dark Sea.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, is there a third one coming out soon?
Yeah, Renegades of the Lost Sea, and it should be out in April. Fingers
Excellent.
crossed. Nothing goes wrong with this one. I'm hoping to get it April 13th, but I'm not sure if it's going to be ready quite that soon. But by the end of April.
That's right. Your last release kind of got pooped on by Amazon, didn't it? They accidentally ate it or something.
That was the paperback. Oh, the last Souls of the Dark Sea was basically a walking disaster from start to finish as far as the release went.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I mean, I had to push back the release date because there was delays with the editing. Then KDP ate Create Space just as the book was coming out.
Right.
And she got chewed up and stuck in the middle of it. And poor me, like I'm sitting there with my fairly certain that was when I had pre-ordered. So I was like manically watching her feed all the time because of course I'm in her fan group too. And I was like, just give me the goodness.
Yeah, that was very stressful. That was, but anyway, once I got the paperback up, which actually went a lot smoother than I feared, I emailed customer service over a minor issue with the proof copy, and they deleted the paperback from Amazon for 3 days.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was fun. It was like series of emails calling them, "You morons. What have you done?"
Right. Yeah.
So they were very apologetic, though. Got it back up very soon, and they called me and to apologize.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah.
They actually called me. Yes, that was surprising, but they did. Anyway, no, I don't. They didn't even know what happened because I mean, all I did was ask them a question. I just asked one question, and for some reason, the customer service guy thought I wanted the book deleted.
You know, we've actually had that one happen before too. Actually, I think it was like a month or two before yours that happened to us. But ours were like 5 books. They were just like, wait.
Yeah.
I was like,
That was rough.
I don't understand.
No, Amazon is strange in ways.
Yeah. Which is why we just gave up on them. I mean,
yeah,
we had to switch. We went to Ingram Spark.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to move over to Ingram Spark. I'm going to do one book because I got a coupon. Anyway, and I'm going to test it out with the coupon. And
well, you can join Ally.
Yeah.
And get coupon codes for publishing.
Yeah, which I may do, but I have a coupon for one book from NaNoWriMo.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm going to try it out and see how it goes and whether I like it. So this is kind of like a test phase. And then we'll see where it goes from there because, Amazon's just keeps giving me a headache. So
yeah, we've been really happy with Ingram Spark.
Yeah, absolutely loving it so far.
Yeah, well,
we moved our entire catalog over.
Well, yeah, you guys are a small press, though. So, I mean, your costs are not as, like, mine as an individual are a little steeper for my marketing budget. So, yeah, I got to be careful with that.
Well, there are tricks.
Yeah, I know there are tricks. That's why I'm trying this trick.
Yep. I will be happy to show you some tricks. Because let me tell you, their print quality is top notch too. It is much better than Create Space or KDP.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and it gets that. What I really want is to be able to get into Canadian bookstores because right now, chapters do not have my paperbacks up in even on the online store because they're through KDP. But so hopefully I'll be able to get them into chapters because that would be good.
Yeah, that's very exciting when you get into a bookstore or even their online store.
Yeah. Because, I mean, even with this latest one, Souls of the Dark Sea, I can't get the paperback on Barnes & Noble even through KDP.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The KDP's expanded distribution is not that great.
No, it's really not.
No. But anyway.
I do absolutely love now that there are ways to get indie books into actual bookstores. I was walking through, we used to have a Books A Million, and I was walking through, I guess it was about a year ago now. And of course, I'm browsing books, and I stopped and I was like, oh my God, this is an indie author. And I snatched the book off the shelf, and I made a bit of a scene. I got really excited.
Yes, it is very exciting to find a book in a bookstore that you've been looking for. You like.
Yes.
Well, Barnes & Noble
I accidentally swore
has plans.
I accidentally swore the other day finding a book.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
It's like I saw the book and I'm going, do I want to buy it? Do I want to buy it? And then I go, yeah. And then I swore and like, oh, wait a minute, I'm in public. I should have done that.
That's such a Canadian thing to say. I swore in public. Oh no.
Well, it's not something I do often is swear in public. I swear at home all the time. Especially at the computer. But yeah, in public I don't generally swear a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was just going to say Barnes & Noble has plans to sell indie books in their stores. But I think you have to have good numbers on how much you sell.
1,000 book sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, well, there are a few indie authors that do those numbers, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's there's obviously a time limit on that 1,000. I can't remember what the time limit on it is. Oh well. Not really what we're here to talk about anyway.
Yep.
Anita, tell us a little bit about your series, the Saga of the Outer Islands.
Okay, it's about dysfunctional gods and sea monsters.
Dysfunctional sea monsters. I love it.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, so it's based on Greek mythology. And this little flash fiction story I did, like in the first book, I actually included the flash fiction story, so you can read where the book originated from. And it was, I did the flash fiction based on this picture prompt in this contest, And the idea I came up with was this sea captain who was kind of like a ferryman for souls, right? Taking the dead to the afterlife. Based on Karen and the big myth. Anyway, and it was kind of a little Flying Dutchman in there too, like the ghost ships. Anyway, but when I wrote the book, I expanded that, and the basic premise is there is this magical ship who rescues drowned souls that haven't crossed from sea monsters that like to eat the souls. And the captain of the ship is a god, and basically the rest of the book is sort of like his family dysfunction and his fight with his sister,
which is very Greek mythology.
Yeah, like all the gods are basically based on Greek mythology, although the Nightmare Crow is more it's a little on Norse mythology, like Loki, other tricksters, and Celtic mythology with the raven images. Anyway, but yeah, it's a very dysfunctional family, and it gets even more dysfunctional in Renegades of the Lost Sea, as I'm sure Rebecca knows because she's reading it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
with the introduction of Rafe. That's the sea captain, the god. His mother shows up in book 3, and his mother is Death. So yeah, it gets really weird.
So,
I
what
wasn't
did you
sure
have
if you'd
to?
want to. I wasn't sure if you'd want to admit that, live, because it's
Well,
kind of
I did mention it in the second book, so I mean it's not exactly a
yeah.
secret.
What
Like I mean,
what
it's
did you have? What did you have to take into consideration writing a deaf character?
Well, basically, she's just everyone gets out of her way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like she's kind of like this force of nature. That's how I wrote her. She's this force of nature, and just pretty much well, except for her daughter, Goddess of the Moon, but that woman's insane. So
but she's loony.
yeah, she's a Looney Tune, and nothing phases her. Yeah, that she's fun to write. The Goddess of the Moon, because I mean she's just crazy. I mean, there are reasons why she's crazy, and she didn't always used to be crazy. But yeah.
Well, yeah. But
Well, how does she communicate?
In rhyme, quite a bit.
Julie, I think you misheard her. She is Death, the goddess of death.
Death. Okay.
Oh.
I thought you said deaf, and I was like, oh, that's interesting to write a different character.
That's what I thought too.
No, she said death.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's different.
Yeah,
She
completely
has
different.
quite the family lineage.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've got to the point in book 3 where the revelation about Rafe's father comes up, about kind of god he actually is.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so yeah, that makes his parentage even more interesting.
I actually, you sent it to me and I downloaded it, and I think the file got corrupted because I can neither find it now or do a search or anything.
Oh, well, I'll send you another file.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna ask you to do that.
Yeah, because I mean, I always planned, because I mean, in book 1 and 2, Rafe's father is called the Sovereign of the Gods, which technically he is. He's based on Zeus. Anyway, but I always planned for him to be something else as well. So you get that revelation in book 3. And so much of what he did makes more sense.
Good, because like I lost the copy. Whatever happened to it happened. Like honestly, I think I'm like a chapter in before it crashed.
Aw.
Yeah, so I was like, what? Is this all I got?
Mhm.
All I had after that were blank pages.
That's weird. Anyway.
Like I said, couldn't tell if it was my computer or the document or what.
The gods ate it, maybe.
Or yeah, Death got
See-
hold. We reached the part where Death made her intro, and after that, everything is just a void. She's a crazy
Death ate the story.
The book. I wouldn't put it past her.
I wouldn't put it past her. I mean, just from what was mentioned of her. In
Oh
book
yeah,
2.
it gets worse from there.
So I have a question for you. So you write a lot of horror and you write a lot of dark fantasy. So like what draws you to that darker side?
Well, I like the psychological aspects of it. Like what drives people to do bad things.
Yeah, that's very interesting to explore.
And plus, and villains are more fun to write, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, they get to do things. I mean, you wouldn't dream of doing in real life, or anybody you know would dream of doing in real life. So it's fun to actually put yourself in the villain character and do all these horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
And my villains do very, very bad things.
Now, do you work to make your villains more gray than black and white?
Yeah, my villains tend to be gray. I mean, well, I mean, some of them are a little on the black and white side, but like my villain Balthazar, but he's a demon, so you kind of can't really make him too gray.
Yeah, I had that
'Cause, I
struggle
mean,
in Angelborn. Mhm.
Yeah, because I mean, he's just evil. But people seem to like that about him, which is I found strange. They like him because he's evil.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the villains you have to put some nuance and different stuff in it. I mean, you have to make their motivations. That's what I like. Is I like to know
Yes.
motivations nuance, because I mean, you know, if they're doing bad things, like with the series I'm working on now, the Camelot Immortal series, the first book has a villain, Nostradamus, and he's an antagonist more than a villain, but his motivation is self-centered, as you find out, but it's also kind of he's doing the wrong thing for the right or the right thing for the wrong reason.
Okay. Yeah,
always the
motivations are
best one.
huge in figuring out your character and what they're actually going to do in the plot.
Yes, unless they change halfway through the series, and then you're screwed.
Mhm.
Because that's what happened with Saga of the Outer Islands. I wrote book 1, and then halfway through book 2, the Nightmare Crow said, no, that's not my motivation. This is my motivation. Change it.
It is
So-
so something that the Nightmare Crow would do.
Yeah.
Totally see that.
Yeah. Of course, it made him a better character, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah. When we got to that twisty twist, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was fun to write.
I was like, I kind of want to go give Anita a hug now.
But yeah, I really hadn't planned that twist until I just sort of like, okay, wait a minute, what if it was this? And then I was writing it. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, those are the best.
Mm.
Because if you know if the author is saying that, the book is going to come out amazing. You know, as long as it goes through editors.
So, you also write a lot of poetry.
Yeah, I do.
Do you find that influences your prose?
Yeah, I think so. Well, like with the Saga of the Outer Islands, there's actually poems in the book. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, because I wrote like sea shanties in the book, because
Oh, okay.
sailors on the ship that they sing the shanties, and there was a couple of like for the memorial scene, there was a song. I mean, like I don't actually write songs, so I try and make the poems as rhythmically as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I tried
Now,
songwriting once, but didn't work out.
Yeah. Do you like form poetry or free verse better?
Well, I started out in free verse, so I really do like that. But I got into forms a few years ago, so there are some I like. I like the ones I use in the book are mostly chant poems.
Mm-hmm.
They work best for the shanty format.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, I do. There's a few poem forms that I really do enjoy writing now. So,
Which
And
ones?
of course,
well, the haiku, as you might have noticed, I have 2 books of horror haiku. So
Right. Okay.
yeah, I was going to say she obviously has a love for the haiku, and if you guys have not checked out her horror haikus, do yourself a favor and go do that.
And I like the triole. Yeah, I think that's what.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And there's it's a modern form. It's called Cascade, which is really interesting.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, explain that for us who do not know.
Okay, well, basically, it's like you write a first verse, and then you take the lines from the first verse and you use them as the last. Is it the last line? Yeah, I think it's the last line of the next verses. So it sort of cascades down like a waterfall or a stairway. You're
Cool.
creating it.
That sounds
Anyway,
fun.
and I like that one. And the trimeric is another one that I like.
Now that one I'm not familiar with.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Yeah,
It's a Canadian form.
Well, I'm right next to Canada, so I should know that.
It's a short form, and it's basically, I think it's it's a repeating line. You get repeating lines like the first and third and seventh or something repeat.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So, and I think there's so many syllables per line as well. But anyway, it's fun. Anyway, I go on Poetry Soup. Was it not Poetry Soup, but Shadow Poetry.
Yeah, I've been on that site. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shadow Poetry. That's where I find all my forms. Except for a couple of the Celtic ones, which I found on another site, which I can't remember at the moment.
So I'm going to be mean, and I'm going to ask you to play mom and say, do you like writing prose better or poetry better?
Oh, I like writing poetry better because
Okay.
it's a lot easier for me. Because, I mean, with the poem, it just sort of comes and it flows and then it's done. And then, you edit it and you tinker with it until the way you want it. With the prose, it's harder because, I mean, you got to plot and you got to figure things out and your characters get annoying and stuff like that. But, yeah, so the poetry's a lot. I mean, I can sit down and write a poem in 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much any subject.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, poetry comes like just quick as anything for me. The prose takes more work.
Right. What I find that translates from my poetry to my prose is like that conciseness of words.
Yeah.
Because with poetry, you can't meander very far.
No, you can't. Yeah, and I do a lot of flash fiction and drabbles as well. So yeah, my prose tends to be concise because of that. Because I mean, you got to tell a story in 100 words. You got to be concise.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, that is what a drabble is.
Yes.
Story of, is it precisely 100 words or is it 100 words or less?
It's precise. A drabble is precisely 100 words. You can have less than 100 words in a more or less microfiction. That kind of falls under microfiction. Mm-hmm. Although I think there's a name for a 50-word story, but I can't remember what it is.
Crazy is what that is.
No,
right, exactly.
I actually used to write Twitter fiction for a little while.
Oh, uh-huh. So it had to be under 150, yeah.
Yeah, this was before the 200. This was like 140 words. 140 characters, sorry. Not 140 words. Mm-hmm. 140 characters. So, yeah, that was fun.
Wow.
That's crazy, yeah.
I knew Anita was amazing. I didn't know she was this amazing.
Yeah, because I can do short stories, but I struggle with flash fiction of getting an entire thing encapsulated in so few words.
Yeah, it was a little hard at first, but actually I enjoy flash fiction a lot. Because, I mean, I write for Pen of the Damned. Mm-hmm. And we have like a rotating line of authors and once a week posting on that blog. And so I do flash fiction maybe once every 3 months or so for them. And I write flash fiction, some on my website and stuff like that. So yeah, I do the Ladies of Horror every month.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've gotten addicted to both of those things.
Yeah, the Ladies of Horror, we get a picture and we have to write a story based on the picture. And so it's very interesting to read all the stories like on the different pictures and the different takes on the same picture. Because like there's about 4 pictures every month. And so a certain set of authors gets one, another set gets that one, the second one, and so on. So it's interesting to see the different takes on the same picture from different people. And we've actually got a 10-year-old girl, she's 11 now. I think she's 11 now. She's writes for it too. And my goodness, she's good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, she usually writes poems for her and her mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, but that girl is brilliant.
Now, Isa, you have a series of short stories coming out. What do you feel is different writing a short story versus writing a novel?
For the longest time, I thought flash fiction was something that it had to be short, right? I knew it was 1,000 words, but I thought it was like the first thing off the top of your head. So I used to write a lot of flash fiction, and some of it wasn't bad. But once I learned that you actually were supposed to go back and edit it and make it the best it could be, I kind of lost interest.
Okay.
You guys know how I feel about rewrites. I know how necessary they are, but oh my God. I wrote this once. Why isn't it perfect? I found my short stories, especially the ones that are in this series, tend to be on the longer side. They're generally 7,000 to 10,000 words. Because I write about con artistry, I found it's extremely difficult to set things up in a short amount of words. So that was one thing that I enjoyed more about the novel, is I could have multiple things going on because I had the room to expound on it. And the novel
the
ended
subplots.
up, yes, and the past cons and how that informs the present cons. And the book ended up being like 95,000 words. So
yeah, it's a pretty fat book.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that, ladies, because we'll get kicked off of YouTube again. That's what they did last time we were talking about thick books.
Mine is much smaller
Infamous
than
episode that will never be heard by anyone else.
But short stories are a fun challenge. Getting a plot and having everything that's in a book is in a short story. It's just very condensed.
Yeah.
I don't think I can write shorter short stories.
Well, I have trouble with the longer short stories. So, yeah, most of my short stories tend to be 3,000 to 5,000. Sometimes they go up to 8,000. But, yeah, I tend on the shorter side of the short story.
Same with me, yeah. I'm not quite flash fiction, yeah.
Say, how big was the one that's going to be in the OWS steampunk anthology?
I'm not sure. I think that was around 5-ish.
I sworn yours was 8.
Yeah, I think it was around 5-ish, 5,000-ish.
Well, lucky for me, I can just look these things up.
Yeah. I mean, well, I can too, technically. I'm just too lazy.
Yeah.
But no, I think the one I did for the Legends and Lore anthology, I think Grail Days was around 8,000. But that one sort of wrote itself. That was like, I mean, I think I wrote that in like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Which is unusual.
I'm interested in hearing from everyone.
8,000.
What?
8,000 words.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I'm interested in hearing from everyone. Like, where do you guys find your inspiration?
I wrote a whole blog post about this.
Okay. What did you say?
That, the professional writers have a website that they can log into, and at midnight on the first of the month, all the story ideas are released, and you have to get there early so you can grab them, because once they're gone, they're gone.
Sweetie, you're thinking of Harlequin with their storyline generator. Yeah.
Now, I don't know. My ideas come from. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where they
often
come from.
anymore. Mine come from listening to friggin' Andy Peliquin over on Fantasy Fiends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find I get
Hoot.
Oh, they're awesome.
I find I get some great ones from reading.
Yeah, I try not to do that though.
Okay.
it's been really hard. Like, while I was writing the Mabs Doll series, Stacey Overby put out her collection of poetry,
Scatharan. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, don't read it, don't read it, don't read it, don't read it, because it's going to influence your work. I know it will, because she's got a couple about a Mab figure in there. And she's
Right,
got,
it's like
Fae
Fae and, yeah.
Yeah, it is all the same mythology as what I'm writing. As I was currently writing it. I was writing the first book. So I was like, don't, you're just going to get influenced. But I have got wandering eyes,
Mm-hmm.
And I was the one tasked with formatting that book.
Right.
So I ended up reading the whole thing. And then, go figure. I convinced myself I was going to be a good girl. Everyone believes that. Go ahead, stop snickering. And so I made a deal with myself, and I put one of her poems in my book instead, just so I could kind of like shake it free. And I was like, that is the only influence I will allow in my book. And it worked out really well. I actually took one of her poems and made it a song that my psychotic
character, yeah.
My psycho killer sings as she's going around slaughtering people.
Yeah, for me, like as far as reading goes, like a lot of times when I get inspired, it's like they have their interpretation of something, and I'm like, oh no, it would not be like that at all. Here's how it would be for me, and that's where the idea kind of sparks.
See, and I'm more of a, ooh, that's an interesting take. Let me poke at this.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to be careful, which is why I swapped from reading urban fantasies to reading high fantasies, and then I went on a sci-fi kick for a while.
Right, because you write urban fantasy.
Yeah. So of course, now I've got this whole high fantasy plotted out in my head. That was not supposed to happen, but it did. And I haven't started writing it, so that's fine too.
Yeah, my inspiration generally just comes whenever it comes. Generally when I'm washing the dishes.
Yeah, doing like a routine task.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about washing the dishes, but I was washing the dishes. I got an idea for a short story. Washing the dishes, I solved the problem for the magical map in Renegades of the Lost Sea.
There's actually a science behind that.
For me, it's driving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you are bored, your mind can rest. When your mind is bored, it can rest, and once it's resting, it will wander, and the things that have been sitting in the back of your head unnoticed will come up.
Oh, that's interesting. Like
Yeah.
apparently,
Yeah.
Apparently, people eating gods were resting in the back of my head, and triggered by the sound of a jet. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that makes perfect sense if you think about it.
Well, if you know my mind, it does make perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I can tell you where the idea for the second short story, Third Time's a Charm, came from.
Okay.
Years, my favorite restaurant in my favorite mall, the Red Monkey Tavern. And I love this place so much. I found out a couple months ago they changed their menu, and it's not the same, so it's no longer my favorite restaurant. But I love the Red Monkey Tavern so much, and they have these like monkey statues decorating the place. And
Okay.
I eat there a lot, or I did. And then one day I went to the local art museum, the Museum of Art in Raleigh, North Carolina, and there was a display of these tiny carved fetishes that had been put in different burial chambers with people. And it just kind of struck me. One of them kind of looked like a monkey. And it's like everything came together right then. I knew I was going to have to steal a red monkey.
Isa's inspiration comes from wandering around museums and figuring out how to do a heist.
I did find a flaw in their security system.
Yep.
Of course you did. Of course you did. What I really loved about that short story, because, you know, I get to edit all of our stories, which means I get to read all of them before they come out, and I love that. But the kind of ambiguous ending
Oh.
Yeah.
with the orange, I was just
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, like
I only have terrible things to say about the orange. In this
Oh,
entire
well,
line of
that's
conversation.
got to say that's an intriguing thing, an orange and an ambiguous ending.
well, he got in
Even
trouble.
read-
He got in trouble because of an apple. So to end with an orange, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, if you haven't read Isa's work yet, oh my goodness. There is a lot of fun waiting for you.
I hope so.
Well, I'm going to be taking a look at it because I do like a good heist story.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
And-
like you were talking about earlier, Anita, it's really fun to write those morally questionable people. I don't go quite as far as you do. I don't go into horror. So there's, you know.
Or
like,
Walking Death.
yeah,
serial
or anything
killer.
like that. No, because my character stays away from bloodshed and things like that because he always wears silk, you know.
And he
Yeah,
doesn't wanna
blood's
get
so hard to
totally
get out of silk.
stained.
And you know, $400 hand-stitched Italian loafers. He's like not going to get messy at all.
I love, there's one scene in Isa's book where he goes home. I'm sorry, but he goes to his closet and he's like, what should I wear for this confrontation? And he shows up in brown clothing because it's less likely to show a blood stain.
Yeah, in case he gets hit in the face
Yeah.
and bleeds on it, yeah.
Well, it's very
Like,
practical. It's hard to get blood out of clothes.
It is.
Especially
clothes.
silk.
Yeah. I like how all of us are now, well, yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. You can tell you're an author, one.
Yeah. Yes, when you've researched how to get blood out of clothing.
Scissors. That's the only thing that gets it out of silk.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know which one I prefer, being an author or being a reader.
Oh, yeah, that would be hard to choose from.
So I'm just
Yeah.
going to stick with being an editor.
Yeah. Well, for me, they're so like intertwined between reading and writing. Like my love for writing came from my intense love of reading. Like I got started super young. I learned how to write and I was like, okay, what do I do next now that I know how to write? And I was like, oh, I'll write a story. So I wrote a fairy tale, but that came because I loved reading stories that I was like, oh, I could do this too.
Mine was kind of the same way. I got to the end of I don't know if you guys ever had this. This might have been a local thing in Kentucky where I was growing up, but you would get workbooks when you were learning how to write, and some of them had tear out pages, you know, for little projects you would do together as a class. And one of ours was you tear them out and fold on the dotted line and then staple it, you know, here and here, and all of a sudden you have a book.
Yeah, okay.
So I made my book, and oh man, it was like magic. It was magic, you guys. Now, let's all take into consideration I lived beyond the boonies. Okay, we didn't have garbage pickup. We lived so far out. Like we didn't have a firehouse. We lived so far out. It was literally a 1.5 mile walk to get our mail because the mail carrier didn't drive that far out. So libraries, no. Bookstores, no. The only reading I got was from school, which was basically an hour drive every morning. And I had just started going to school. So the fact that I just made a book and I could take it home and I could read it, magic.
Yeah.
So I got that, and then I got to the end and I was like, no, I need more. So
Right.
I folded up some more paper, cut it into the shape, stapled it on, and wrote more. And I had the continuing adventures of this little alligator dude who I don't actually know if ever got named. It was just the alligator.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, for me, I basically lived at the library. Like, we would go every 2 or 3 days because I would just read through books so fast.
Yeah, I used to hang out at the school library.
Yes.
And yeah, that was kind of my second home in school, was the library, and getting new books every day or every week. And
Yeah. We
yeah,
had a bookmobile in our neighborhood. After a
yeah,
while, we moved, and our new neighborhood had a bookmobile, and I was like,
Awesome.
yeah, the bookmobile used to stop at the school, which
oh, that's
was
weird.
that was fun. So yeah,
My favorite day of the year was the Scholastic Book Fair. Oh
Scholastic
my
Book
God.
Oh,
Fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh
would
yeah.
save every penny I could get my grubby little paws on. Everyone's like, they show up and they're like, well, I'm buying pencils, I'm buying, this eraser, I'm buying this, that. I was like, I'm buying all the books I can put my hands on.
Right. That was like the one time my parents were like, you can spend as much money as you want, because it was books. So it was like the most exciting feeling in the world for me, because I was just like, I can buy 6 books. Oh my gosh. Yes. Like, please.
yeah. And I used to subscribe to the Scholastic magazine. That's how I developed my love of short stories, because they had all these short stories in from Ray Bradbury and people like that, and it's like,
Oh
wow, yeah.
I remember that.
Oh, I love
The only
those.
way my mom could get me to go to the dentist, too.
yeah.
Because, of course, they have them in the waiting room.
Yes. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I remember reading Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys as a kid and going, these girls in these books suck. I want to write somebody better.
Yeah,
And it took me a while,
started
but
to
I'm
read
finally
that
doing it.
I was like, I don't understand why people like this. This is so, I didn't know the word at the time, but it was so trite and, just kind of stereotypical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did like the Nancy Drew and the Hollywood books, but not for the characters. I liked the mysteries.
Yes.
Figuring out the puzzle.
Yeah, and
But-
of course, I eventually left them behind and graduated up to good authors like Agatha Christie and I can't remember her name.
Diane Mott Davidson was one I found as an adult.
Did you guys ever read Encyclopedia Brown?
Yes.
That's what I was saying. Encyclopedia Brown was just.
That was like my childhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Encyclopedia Brown. He's not blind because the lamp is on and he has a newspaper. That's how you know he was the one who stole the money. Because it was kind of like the Sherlock Holmes, where he figures it out through observations.
Yeah.
But it was also like easy observations that you could test out in real life. Like,
right, but for me, like, I wouldn't notice that detail until he solved it. So I was just like, oh.
Yeah. I always
mine was always a race. He raced to see if he could figure it out before he got dessert, and I raced to see if I could figure it out before he was, before the story was over.
Right.
Sure, I was usually wrong, but it was still really fun. Like, I had no clue that, because like in one of them, it was, the bowl he held up acted like a spoon, and of course everyone knows that when you look in a spoon, the image is upside down. And I was like, ran to the kitchen, grabbed a spoon. I was like, you can like kind of see blobs behind you, but you can't see a shape. What the? Because, of course, I didn't have silverware.
Right.
Regular spoons. Yeah. So I still loved them.
So it sounds like there's a lot of mystery and crime fans here. What other genres do you guys love to read?
Fantasy.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
And I like historical fiction too.
Now, do you like horror? Because you write horror.
Yeah,
but
I write it, but I don't read it. No, I don't read.
Okay.
Well, I never planned to be a horror writer, actually. I mean, I always planned to be a fantasy writer.
Mm-hmm.
But then I wrote this story for a contest in a group I was in, and it was a nice story because that was the prompt. And it turns out I'm allergic to writing nice stories. Yeah, because my muse just died. It's just I wrote the story and my muse died. And it's like, ooh, and I had this feeling. Honestly, I had this feeling after writing the story. I mean, the story was good, but it was so nice and sweet. Mm-hmm. And it was like I had to shake the feeling, so I went and I wrote. I found the most horrific subject, Jack the Ripper. And I wrote this story, kind of a prequel story of Jack the Ripper. And that's kind of
Jack the Ripper.
Well, yeah.
That sounds epic.
I need to read that now.
Well, it's in the Killers and Demons series. It's in the first.
I did read that. Never mind.
Yeah. It's London 1888.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever it was, whatever the date was. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, that is the first real straight horror story that I wrote, and I liked it. So I kept writing them.
Well, I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun to write serial killers.
It is.
I just recently figured that out. Yes, it is. Except for when they punch a family of chipmunks to death. That I did not like.
You know, I've never had any problems doing horrible things like that. I mean, I hear people, I had so much traumatic stuff writing these horrible scenes and stuff. I've never had that problem. I mean,
they were babies, like they were still pinky chipmunks.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong for it. I'm saying there's something wrong with me because I have no problem writing that. I mean, I could decimate an entire colony of chipmunks and have no qualms about it.
Well, I could decimate an entire, colony, sure, but 4?
No,
fictional.
Wouldn't bother me.
Listeners, we're talking about fictional chipmunks.
Oh yes. I would never hurt real chipmunks just to be.
Well, see, that's the fucking crazy thing. I could do it in real life. I mean, I wouldn't punch him to death, but I've killed a chipmunk. It did not bother me as much as writing it.
No, I mean, I can kill anything in my books. I have no problem doing it at all. I mean, people say, it's so hard to kill off characters. And I'm going, nope, not hard at all. Just slice their throats, shoot them, whatever. Not in the least bit hard. I've only ever had one qualm in a character that I'm still writing the book. But that character, I've had qualms about killing him off. He's still going to bite the biscuit. But that's the only time I've ever had a problem with killing characters.
Yeah, I have a problem deciding they're going to die, but not writing that they die. Like, to me, the hard part is being like, I have to kill him. Oh, no. And then I feel guilty and, go through all those emotions. But when I'm actually writing the scene where they die, I'm fine.
Yeah, no, I don't have any of that guilt. It's like, they're going to die. Yay.
Mine is usually more of a, this little arc is over. I feel a little sad about the arc being over.
Yeah, and these characters don't get to do any more adventures. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I feel. It's like, I just lost part of the book. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, part.
Yeah. Technically, though, a lot of my dead characters don't stay dead, so.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that totally works. Also, once again, you, literally have death walking around now, so. Yeah. I mean, you kind of got to get used to her after a while.
Yeah, but yeah, well, the Saga of the Outer Islands pretty much almost nobody stays dead because they got the ghosts. It's kind of a built-in safety net there with the ghosts. And
Mhm.
Yeah, and considering, you know, what Rafe is,
yeah.
like, it doesn't even matter if the ghost has moved on for him. So
Yeah, I mean, he can see the dead anywhere. So yeah, I mean, and with the new series I'm writing, the Camelot Immortals, I mean, all the characters are pretty much immortal. I mean, the main ones. So, I mean, nobody's dying in that one.
I just realized this is actually how Anita is making her horror nice. They're nice stories now. I mean, they're not dead. They're in a better place.
Well, no, technically they're not, because in Renegades of the Lost Sea, one character dies, and he does not go to a better place, trust me.
How about all of the dead characters you've got at the bottom of the ocean, too? I mean, that's definitely not a nicer place.
Yeah, well, they all came back.
Have they been stuck there?
Well, they came back to life in book 2 and
Ish.
Yeah. Well, their souls are in a better place. Their bodies are rotting in the bottom of the ocean, but their souls are in a better place. Anyway, yeah. But I mean, yeah, my.
You're right. I take back what I had said. Your horror is still horror.
Well, I mean, technically though, SAG is not horror; it's dark fantasy, so it's not going to be as dark. Like with my other, I mean, with my Killers and Demons thing, I mean, I tortured one poor woman with acid rain and didn't kill her off. And, you know, and then there's poor Alice, or, well, she's not poor Alice, but their victims are. And then, of course, there's Sarah. I mean, really, what she did to her boyfriend. I mean, really.
So definitely, folks,
you know, I mean,
if you haven't read it, go out and get Anita's books. There is all kinds of awesome happening, and make sure you have a glass of water beside you. I think I actually put this in one of the reviews I did for your book. Make sure you keep a glass of water sitting next to you when reading Anita's work, because your jaw is going to fall open so often that your mouth is going to get dried out. Because this is like, wait, what? In a good way, mind you.
Anita, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, we're getting close to time.
Yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet. I'm got a Facebook group, AF Stewart's Minions. I'm on Twitter, Scribe77. I have a website, Welcome to Avalon. Where else am I? Yeah, I got a Facebook page. And I'm on Instagram. Yes, Instagram. I keep forgetting Instagram at AF Stewart Author.
And you have a newsletter.
Oh yes, and my newsletter, which you can find on my website, or and the my Twitter account has my website link too. So I'm pretty much LinkedIn everywhere. So
except LinkedIn, she's not on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm not on LinkedIn anymore.
I was joking, but that's awesome.
No, actually, I was on LinkedIn, but I got off it because it annoyed me.
I like it when I make shit up and it turns out to be true. All right, Isa, would you like to tell people where they can find you?
My website is authorisamclaren.com, and I'm on Twitter at IWMcLaren, and Facebook, Author Isa McLaren as well. And you can find my short story From Love to Hate Return will be out March 15th, and A Kiss for Luck comes out May 4th.
Yay! I am on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as Hijinks Writer. And I have a blog thingy that's supposed to be kind of like a website. It's hijinksblog.wordpress.com. And so, yeah, you can find me just basically if you look up Hijinks Writer, you can find me easy.
And of course, I am Rebecca Jonesy. You can find me at Rebecca Jonesy basically everywhere except LinkedIn. And you can find me, you can find my romance author page on Facebook at Rebecca Jonesy Book. or you can join me for my fantasy talk over at Becca's Book. Is my fantasy group on Facebook. Come join me there where I do weekly live videos. And I guess that's about it for us this month. Anita, thank you so much for joining us. It was a really fun talk. I can't believe this hour just flew by like it did.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
And until next time, you guys, read well and prosper. All right. Bye.